Welcome to the Scottish Property Podcast. This is a show where we aim to educate, inspire and entertain through real life stories and interviews from people in the Scottish property community.
As always, thanks for listening and give us a follow on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Remember to join us at our monthly networking events on the first Wednesday of every month. Tickets are available on our website. So without further ado, we'll just cut straight into this week's podcast.
So welcome to the Scottish Property Podcast, Kirsty and Phil from Perth. Sorry, Alan and Katie from Premier Properties in Perth. Welcome, guys.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you?
Afternoon to you too.
I feel outnumbered here. Usually I've got Nick Ponty sitting beside me and I feel ganged up on here and used to have came double-handed. So tell us a bit about both your backgrounds and how you got started in property.
You go.
Okay, well, I'm from Edinburgh initially, and I had a big stationary office equipment company, and I sold it in 2008. And I thought, right, what am I going to do now? So I had moved up to Perthshire, and I thought, right, I'm going to start buying some properties. So I started buying in 2007-8, just before I moved up, and ended up having quite a few.
Just before that crash?
Before the crash.
Yeah.
So I bought high probably on a lot of them.
What gave you an inclination for property? It's something you always
I've always enjoyed. Yeah, I've moved house quite a bit, and I just thought, I could just, to be honest, I probably started it as well thinking, I'll make quite a lot of money out of this and it'll pay for my kids' school fees. Yeah. But it didn't quite work out that way.
No, probably not a couple of years later you're down to negative equity or
on a
breaking
few
even.
Of them. Yes, yeah. So, it's been great and I've enjoyed them.
Yeah. And what were you, Alan? What got you?
Yeah, I was
piqued your interest?
Probably 19 when I bought the first one.
And in Perth as well?
Yeah, it was in Perth. It was a relationship. And then I was on my own with it. And I always remember going to a mortgage advisor, and I was all new to this, and he'd said, oh, you can get more than one mortgage. And I kind of light bulb moment went off for me, I thought. But I parked that for a few years, but always remained, you can actually buy more than one.
Like quite curious on that.
Yeah, so that kind of sat there, and I started buying. I was an Arctic driver. I drove Arctics for 12 years. So I spent a lot of time on the road wondering how I was not going to drive the Arctics. Right. So again, like Katie, and that's probably how I met Katie, I was buying leading up to the crash in 2008. And you had to buy them that day. You had to go tens of thousands over to get them. This was before home reports, and that's how I came across Katie. But that's how I started, and I built up my portfolio while driving the Arctic.
Nice. And no strategy, just saving up some money, buying some properties.
At the time, the mortgage rates were 5 to 6%. Yeah. And I might have been making £50-60 on a property. Aye. And I thought if I get 10 of them, I'll make £600. So no strategy at all.
It's interesting. I jumped straight in there, and I probably should have stated that I'm excited to have you guys on talking, because Perth's fifth biggest city in Scotland, and we've had no one that invests in Perth and no one that's came on and promoted Perth market. So when I seen your email, I thought, yes, absolutely, because I've got close connections to Perth, and I've never bought in Perth, and I don't know the market. It seems like quite a
we can help you.
Unique place.
Yeah, if you're looking for something in Perth,
and I think probably both of us. I mean, I was always thought buy to lets, you buy flats and rent them out. And I soon realised, and I changed my strategy, that's not the way I wanted to go. No. And I changed it completely to just buying houses. And I felt that they worked better for me. Yeah. And some of the flats that I bought were not the best, as in I thought they were good, and they rented, which was fine, but if I'd bought the house, then it was different. And then I bought a few in new build flats, but they were factored.
So then the cash flow was almost
non-existent. And I never took in a consideration that you've got this monthly fee going out. And looking back on it now, if I bought a house for the same value,
you wouldn't have the fee.
I wouldn't have had the fees. I wouldn't have accumulated all these fees throughout the years. And if I'd bought the house, I was in charge of that house, and the maintenance in the house.
I always seem to see that you get better capital appreciation from houses rather than flats as well.
Definitely. But going back to what Alan said as well, touching on the point, it was that easy to buy properties, in 2007, 2008. I mean, there was
no money down deals and stuff like that as well when you were
15% down, and that was you. And there was no, you can only have 5 or you can only have 10 or 15. You could just buy. So you got carried away a wee bit on it. Whereas now the stipulation is so difficult.
I remember my first one when I negotiated the discount off the price of the property, and you used that as a deposit as well. So it was like I got 100% mortgage on it.
It's win-win.
It was win-win. Actually, like you say, there's no restrictions. We're like, buy.
I think I was quite lucky in the fact that some of the properties I'd bought, then the market really shot off. So then I could remortgage them, take the money out, and buy some more. And I was thinking at the time, and I always remember thinking, you're actually making more money off a property than the average wage, which was very attractive. I still worked away. And I think in 2008, I took redundancy from the driving the Arctics.
Was this when you went to your inclination to set up the letting agency first?
So I took my redundancy 2008, and then the company started in 2009. And because I'd heard of Katie, and she was beating me in quite a few of them. I thought, who is this Katie Hall? I need to find out a bit more about her. And so I asked her for a meeting, didn't I?
You did. Yep.
So I asked her
and he keeps telling me to this day, and you were late to that meeting, because he's always giving me a row because I'm always late. He'll say, let's meet at 10 o'clock. But he knows I'll be maybe 10:05.
So I've always had a stickler for being on time. But the first meeting, you were 20 minutes late.
I was. Not good.
So I did ask Katie, I said I was starting up a letting agent. Would you come in with us? And she didn't have a clue anything really about me, did it?
No, not at all.
And she says, no, but you can look after some of my properties. So...
Worthwhile meeting then?
Sorry?
Worthwhile meeting, at least you got a couple of
Absolutely. It was definitely a worthwhile meeting, because...
It definitely was good for me because I got a really good discount.
I
said, if you're starting off, I'll give you X per property. No problem, Katie.
What did you nail them down to? Like, what percentage?
5%.
5%.
5%.
I mean, Sam, mate. I got down to 5% for these.
It was 5%, but I knew that I had to get clients on. And, there was times, I always remember the first one I tried to rent out for you. It was a Monday night, it was 6:30, it was raining, the viewer hadn't turned up. I phoned you, told you, but I eventually grew up to looking after about 14 properties. I think Katie can tell you some of the statements I used to her monthly statements.
Yes,
were pretty poor. That's sent through to her.
There'd be no systems, no SME, or that kind of stuff.
No, nothing in those days. No.
Nothing. So it was pretty rough.
Yeah.
But I knew I could get the right tenant. Well, I thought I could get the right tenants. I mean, before the company started, I made every single mistake.
Yeah.
You name the mistake, I made it. But
did you know anyone that ran a letting agency or a estate service?
I did know somebody, but I always remember him taking me out for lunch, and I didn't think about it at the time. But looking back, he was wanting my properties to manage.
Right.
But
you're trying to pick his brains for.
I might have been making £50 or £60 on that property, So it didn't make any sense, and I was trying to build it up from there.
Yeah.
But.
So was it almost like a bolt-on thought process that you've got your own properties, you can bolt on letting agents to manage it with your stock, get people like Katie on board, you've got more stock. And
I think, I'd taken redundancy from a job. It was voluntary redundancy I took. So I had to do something. Yeah. So I had to make something work. It wasn't a case of, there was no, and property was, I've got a passion for property and always had a passion for property. So then meeting Katie was...
the start of Premier Properties.
The start of Premier Properties. I think it started before, and I was doing it on my own. And then, but it really never took off until Katie came on board.
So eventually she agreed. You wore her down.
That's it. Wore me down, and then I said, right, come on, let's give this a go.
And I've said, Kate, we've discussed it many times, Katie wouldn't have got involved at all if she knew what it would become.
Oh, yeah.
No.
So when was that? Was that not how long after you started then?
It was 2009, I think. I got Katie involved quite early on in that with her properties, and then soon after that, Katie said, why don't we do this together?
Aye.
I always remember the conversation.
He's making an arsenal. I'm going to have to go and get involved.
I'm going to have to get involved here, sort this out.
She says, do you want 70%, 30%, 60, 40? And I always remember standing there thinking, no, if it was going to work, it has to be 50-50.
50-50, yeah.
No one can have the upper hand on a partnership type thing. Yeah.
Absolutely not. It couldn't have worked, you know.
And was Katie's previous business experience useful to come on board then?
Absolutely, 100%. You know.
Yeah.
I was used
stuff you
to
don't know in
having
business,
staff and,
yeah,
you know, and everything that goes with staff and just, yeah. So I think we've both got, you know, strengths. So both of us working together, it's definitely worked. Yeah, very much so.
And it was, at that point in Premier Properties, was just lettings.
Solely lettings, yes.
So just focus on scaling that. What was the kind of divide of labour? Was one person back in, one person's out business development, or?
No, I think with the lettings, it was a numbers game.
Right.
Absolute numbers game.
Just get as much stock as you can.
Yeah, and I think we were stuck on 70 or 80.
Oh, we were stuck on about 70 or 80 for quite some time. And I remember thinking, right, come on, we've got to hit the big 100. And it, you know, it took a wee bit of time, but then word of mouth, and then we were doing a good job for so many people in Perth. And then you just need to strike lucky and get a couple of landlords that have got a lot of properties.
Is the Perth market quite cliquey with the fact that it's bigger landlords that own a lot of them, or is it's just quite scattered?
It's quite scattered,
Right.
and then there's the accidental landlords that come in, you know. But going back to when the business started, I always remember, I mean, we drove decent cars at the time, but we thought, well, we'll advertise in taxis.
Right.
Okay, so we got a price and it was £1,200 for the year to advertise on 2 taxis. But then we thought, well, why don't we looked into buying cars. So we got 2 Corsas. And so the £1,200 for advertising a taxi, it cost us £1,800 to get a car each a year. And we put our own sign.
We did.
Sign wrapped the whole thing.
Yeah.
So we bought 2 new Corsas, and then we'd meet every day in Tesco's car park.
So the big cars went.
Well, I was about to say, it's 6, 7, 80 properties. People will know that. That's not going to cover much overheads as an office or anything, is it?
No. We worked from my house for the first 4 years.
Yeah.
And then we moved into an office for the next 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years.
And then we bought a building, which was an old
house. It was a lady that had lived in the house for years. So we got it all changed and everything, and got a nice semi-detached sort of Victorian type sort of old building, which we've got lettings downstairs and sales upstairs.
And Perth City Centre?
In Perth City Centre, so it works very well. Plenty parking.
It's the story with that was I remember we were in our old office and Katie was looking at Zoopla. Well, at night I would look at Zoopla, and I think she got a home report through in the next morning, and it was for their property for our office. And she says, I've got this home report through. I says, yeah. She says, I thought that would make a good office. I said, so did I. So we're going to view it today at 2:15. And we went in, we got it, but the home report wasn't, I don't think 100% truthful, because I had dry rot down the side of the building.
Yeah.
So I had to tackle that.
Which was a big job.
Aye. What was that? Let's see, that pushing that point past that 70, that sticking point. What was that like, and how did you manage to overcome that? Was that?
I think we just did a bit of networking, and we were speaking to landlords that we already had, and they put good words in for us to other ones.
Did you find it helpful at the beginning that you guys were already investors and landlords yourselves?
Without 100%.
Yeah. We couldn't
Talking with conviction.
We couldn't have went straight in for it, and I don't know if I think it would be so difficult to start a letting agency today.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day,
so much compliance.
It's changed in every way.
I mean, anyone could have started a letting agency. You know, you didn't need to be qualified. You didn't need client protection money. And, you know, there was...
Deposit schemes not existent,
Oh, no, you just...
Yeah,
that's where I think a lot of businesses, you know, struggled with the deposits as well.
Aye.
Yeah.
They did, but I suppose it was lucky again, it goes back to timing when we started. But from my point of view...
That must have been a difficult time to start in letting agencies. I mean, your own portfolio, pre-2008, buying high, the market crashing, that was a time where I suppose sales weren't as good right enough, so the letting maybe bolted on. But there was quite a lot of estate agents at that time, if I remember right, all bolting on lettings onto their estate agency.
Yeah.
So did you have quite a lot of competition back then?
Well, there was actually.
We had a lot of
the sales
competition.
dropped
off a cliff.
They dropped off a cliff.
Yeah.
But I think at the same time of the market going up and then crashing, the interest rates crashed.
Yeah.
So all the properties that were bought prior to that were on good deals.
Yeah.
So that helped.
Aye.
Oh yeah, because a lot of people would think, right,
Here we go.
interest rates, here we go, and bought so many and then came on to us as well. And
So did you get a lot of landlords and investors that were scaling up their portfolio that as they grew, you grew almost?
yeah, yes, we had some landlords who were buying all the time, and they were phoning for advice to
Right,
Alan and I and say, right, okay, I've seen something in Victoria Street, say, will we get a good return on this? And because we had the knowledge and all the bits, then we could advise them, this will be a good one for you to buy, or don't. You know,
Avoid that block.
Avoid that block. We know a bit about this, you know. And so we've helped an awful lot of people, which in return has helped us.
The localised knowledge is so key in it, you know, and that's what I'm saying. I feel lost with a city that I know pretty well. I don't know the property prices. I've never really viewed properties, never experienced them. And to be each, I suppose, property market's got their own microeconomy, isn't it? Their own city's got their own little microeconomy. What streets are good, bad, ugly. Even what I always think catches people out that don't know there is some streets actually might be quite good at one end, but the other end's completely shit. And you're like, oh.
That's so true. That's so true.
Aye.
Yeah, I can name a couple in Perth. Yeah.
But that's where you're getting the localised knowledge and speaking to not only letting agents but property investors as well to see it from that
People
point of
who
view,
know,
not just
Aye. Because we wish we'd known people when we bought some of ours, because we bought some disasters. But you know what?
You live and learn now.
You do live and learn.
You do live and learn.
You do. So
and the properties that you guys own personally, then have you looked to exit them over the years or buy more? How's your own portfolio growth over the years?
yeah, it grew, but when we came out of COVID and the market was good, and maybe the interest rates were on the rise, and you know, it was time to maybe offload a few, so we would do them up.
Which we did.
Yeah.
And we did to sell them. We did them up to a nice standard.
Yeah. Maximise the price of them. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think it makes it a far easier sale.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, you know, you've got to invest the money in it, but you know, you should get that
back.
Yeah. And they were good. And
and we've got great tradesmen as well. We've built up through the years.
You love good tradesmen through the lettings as well. We get guys that you can rely on. Yeah,
people we can rely on, people that won't let us down, and you know, you name it, we've got them.
I think that's very key. Actually,
very key.
Is to have the team.
Yeah,
the team of tradesmen. I mean, our plumbers and electricians have been with us over 10 years.
So the stuff yours that offloaded at COVID, did you buy any more? Add any other stock to the portfolio? I know we're talking about flats versus houses earlier. Is it offload some of the flats, buy some more houses? Or
no, I think because of the interest rates, I think it was here's an opportunity to offload.
Yeah.
And no, we've not bought any more at the present time. No.
I had to buy one for more.
Oh, you did. You bought one.
Yeah, it was a house though.
Yeah.
So, and then we went and bought some investment properties to do up, which has been good because we've got the team of tradesmen. Yeah. So we can
stuff that you sold on, or
no, we bought a property that had been empty 17 years.
Right.
So, and that's been good learning curve actually. You know, because again, mistakes have been made, but
is that Perth in it as well?
No, it was a village just outside Perth.
Right.
So, but it was a good, valuable lesson. Yeah. And it wasn't, we thought we could make money on it, but once you start these projects, you have to finish them.
Yeah, you're going to go on with it, spending money.
So you can't just leave it, so you have to keep on going. And
I think everything's so expensive as well. All the materials have gone up.
We're chatting about Bridge Air, and I got hit with Bridge Air, and during the project, we ripped the roof off, or the back end to put the dormers in, and while we were doing doing that project, the timber went up something like 80% during that time period. So the prices I was quoted to the dormer 3 months ago the guy was like, I can't do it for that prices. The timbers went up so much.
Is that which house was that you did up?
That was Maybank, the one next to the garage.
Yeah, I know it well. You've done a great job with it.
A beautiful house. I thought I would tell the story and the wall that we took down on the inside to create the beautiful open plan kitchen, lounge space and stuff like that. And used it to build the sandstone wall at the front of it.
Yep.
So told their story. Yeah, no one was flipping interested in that. Like they just walk right past and you go, give it a nice curb appeal though. I do like driving past that and seeing that one.
It looks very attractive. Yeah.
Beautiful. And Bridge Ern's a good area as well. Like these are all these little off shots off Perth.
Bridge of Ern's very popular. And
it's a private school, isn't it?
There are a lot of private schools there. A lot. Yeah. Strathallan, you've got Kilgraston. you've got also Bridgeverne Primary.
Yeah.
It's a great wee primary school. Craigclowen up the road, yeah.
So when the Premier bought sales on them, what was the thinking behind that?
Right, when was that? That would be about 8 years ago.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe more. And it was one of our landlords decided to sell.
Aye. So why give away to someone else? Yeah.
No, but we thought, we didn't even think like that at the time.
Right.
We thought, oh yeah, I'll tell you a company that's good. And we gave all the details over to this company. And I said to Alan, we could do this.
That's 3 years worth of management fees we just give away.
Absolutely. Why are we giving away? So then we thought, right, let's give this a bash. Yeah. So we did a lot of research and thought, right, let's start the sales.
It was quite
site.
difficult to break in.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was difficult.
Because-
Quite cliquey.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of solicitor-based companies. At that time, it's kind of changed now.
The PSPC was still going in those days.
Well, ASPC up in Aberdeen still got a flipping grip hold. I know TSPC, that's got quite a bit of
Dundee
hold.
has still got it too.
But I think it's getting chipped away at.
Yeah.
And Perth, and I think it's companies like us came on. But it was hard initially
Very hard.
to break in.
Yeah.
But we got in, and then it was... Again, it was all about customer service, and that's what we've based the whole company on, is customer service.
Did you start off with the tenanted sales of clients that were looking to offload the properties from their portfolio, or did you start taking on public customers as well?
Oh no, we took on everyone that wanted to sell.
Yeah.
We didn't miss an opportunity. But obviously, we could write out to all our landlords and see if you ever are thinking of selling, then, give us a call. And then I think it just snowballed from...
What size was the lettings portfolio at that point then when you had in the sales? I'm quite intrigued for...
I would have thought by that point we were up to about
200?
200,
Nice.
250.
Yeah, so it's a sizable portfolio with the staff as well.
Yeah, so we started having to take on staff.
Yeah.
Which
would have made the breaking the sales a wee bit easier than you took on them.
It did, because then you could leave the staff, the great staff we had, just to deal with the letting side, and then that would give us time.
we were naturally pushed into sales because we had to focus on that. So we had to get a team in to deal with
that side of the business. And
two of the team in there have been with us over 10 years.
Brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
So very knowledgeable, went on all the courses.
Yeah.
It's they're very thorough, and we don't really get involved at all on the letting side.
Not on the letting side.
We've tried to a couple of times, but
sometimes if there's an open discussion about something, we'll say, right, come on.
It's evolved so much in the last 5, 6 years, 7 years, isn't it?
Gosh, yeah.
If Nick was here, God, you'd having a lettings conversation, because Nick's got a letting agency similar sized in Glasgow, and he's been growing that himself for the last few years now, and he's taken on the staff now.
It's the legislation.
But it's changed, by goodness, it's changed.
And we dot the I's and cross the T's, but it's...
I think if we never had this podcast, I would struggle to keep up with it. I mean, they're bringing in the lead testing from the 1st of March, but this is guests that come on and tell me it, and I'm like, oh, is that right?
It's been... The lettings it can be tough at times.
Yeah.
It's not...
The margins are so small in it as well. If your systems and the processes aren't good, it's quite tight, isn't it?
Yeah, we've invested in a couple of softwares. We've had in the early days got a software in, and then got a better one in, and
always upgrading,
just evolving and growing with it. Yeah,
just with all the changes. Yeah.
So, but so the lettings have been, like I say, very good, but then
and still growing,
still
much
growing.
so.
Right. We've grown a lot, even in the last year.
That was going to be my next question, actually, is do you find that you've seen the landlords exiting because of the amount of scrutiny that we're under through the Scottish Government, or are you finding that it's not growing?
We've not seen that, really. Right. We've been quite lucky because we panicked. We thought with all these changes and the interest rates, a lot will sell. But no, we've not lost a lot. And for the ones that we have lost, we've gained more.
Do you think it was more the accidental landlord that actually got a chance to exit and sell? I bought this in 2006. I can now exit now that the market's okay.
Yeah. I think so.
There's a big difference between the accidental landlord and the professional one.
And the investment buy-to-let person. Yeah.
Did you discriminate, I suppose, growing the business to who you wanted to work with? Because I'm assuming that the accidental landlord could be a bit of a pain in the arse to deal with, whereas the professional landlord investor that's dealing as a business almost treats it like a business.
No, we treated everyone the same. Right. Absolutely. If they needed to rent out the property, they got the absolute same service.
But the accidental landlord probably needs a wee bit more looking after. Yeah. Because they just don't understand it like your investors. Mm-hmm. So
no, the reason I was asking is that a lot of my friends that have got letting agents, they said, you know what, I kind of try and avoid them and just focus on the investors, because that the investors get it, they understand that they're also going to scale their property portfolio and get 10, 20, 30 properties, whereas the accidental landlord's going to be a pain in the arse, have to mollycoddle them, have to hold their hand, they don't want to spend money on maintenance, and you only get one out of it. They're thinking, all right.
You know, I think you can't. We would never turn away business.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, you have to guide them as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's not all roses. You're going to get maintenance. You're going to get problems, and they've got the option to deal with the problems themselves, like every other landlord. But we've got a good team that, you know, will drop things and go because they get a lot of business. But they go and they're great actually. You know, without a team like that, you know, it'd be a struggle at times.
So how's the integration to the sales side of the business? Because it's like we spoke there, that a lot of it was the other way. It was always estate agents, solicitors, and then they bolted on let's when the market, when nothing was selling between 2008 and 2013, everyone seems to bolt on let's, but you guys have went the opposite way, built a lettings and then bolted on the sales.
Yeah, and there was in 2008 people that the estate agency wasn't happening and they started lettings.
Yeah. I think though starting with the lettings is a trickier start than if we'd been starting with sales, because you're really involved in the nitty gritty and dealing with all sorts. So when you get into
and you need volume
you need the volume definitely for turnover. But the sales is not an easier side of the business. It's quite pleasant.
I was about to say it must be a bit more pleasant because
it is.
we've had a factor in here, and I'm sure that between factors and letting agents must be the most hated people in this industry. Yeah. Because as a letting agent, you know, you're picking up the disgruntled issue from the tenant. You portray that to the landlord or the investors. They're not going to be that happy that they're bringing an issue, and you're the one that's sitting in the middle with an unhappy party. Each person going, fucking hell, like we just hate it here. It must be a tricky business. Oh,
it is very tricky. I mean,
but I think anyone going into property, I mean, I would always advise starting in the lettings.
Yeah,
definitely.
You're going to know, find out sooner, like you like it or hate it.
I think you find out a lot about properties. Yeah. You know how it works, and you know, rather than the sales side is, you know, it can be very nice at times.
Yeah.
It's an easier transaction as well, the sales, isn't it? You meet somebody, you bring their house on, you do the lovely photos, you get the home report done, you bring it to market.
And the people that are buying it are excited about buying the dream home or their next step in the ladder,
Yeah, and then you get a good price and your client's delighted, and that's the end of that sale. Yeah, you're on to your next.
Transaction done.
Move on. Whereas the letting side, you're with these landlords for years and years. Yeah. And you're with tenants for years and years, and that's where
it's funny from the person that sits on the other side of the table to flipping properties to building the buy-to-let portfolio. You know the longevity on the buy-to-let portfolios, the bricks and mortar, and it's that long term and the relationship you have with it. Because the flip's just exciting.
Oh yeah,
it's good fun. You get to buy something like Maybank and Bridgend and turn it into a stunning. You know that house wasn't touched for 90 years. As an old woman,
how many?
90 years.
God,
this was horrendous. Like the old Aga cooker was the last bit of work that they were done was the old Aga cooker in 1953, and at the old pub along the road. When we first bought it, everyone used to chap the door and knock the door and go, "Can you pull back the shutters?" Old Margaret used to have parties until she was 96 in this house, and we're like,
wow.
"What?" And you'd open the shutters, the wooden shutters. We kept them, and everyone had signed their name, you know. Jock here in 1972, he says, "Oh, we used to go after parties back here. The property held this nice bit of story." So that was a nice renovating that and bringing that back to life. And people in the community that walked past it and looked and go, "You've done a fantastic job." But Margaret's house, it was quite nice. It was nice, and then the financial upsells are always a lot better as well, and then the transaction's gone.
Yeah, that's it. Where you've got memories of it, how you've done it up.
It's always nice
memories, lovely memories.
You know, it doesn't always go as smoothly, and there's always issues with trades and materials going up and extra sales. But it's that nicer transaction, whereas that long-term property for long-term growth and wealth is a different relationship, isn't it?
And when did you start that house? When did you buy it?
Oh God. 21, end of 21 or
right, so just after COVID.
Yeah, it was kind of one of the lockdowns of COVID.
Yeah.
Because the prices were shooting up with the materials a lot on that one.
Yeah, I used to see you working there. We used to even drive past.
Yeah.
And there was lots of guys there and doing a lot of work. Yeah.
Oh, but Who was it? Who did they sell it through? Another stage, and they reached out. Did you miss reaching out?
I don't know.
Don't know.
Salvador bringing a cup of tea for the guys.
If only you'd met us.
I know. We'd have got a better sale price.
But going back to the Lettons are bread and butter. You know, we'll never ever forget. You know, that's where we started. It's
where your heart's at, isn't it?
Of course it is. It's you know, it enabled us to build the team, build the portfolio, and then move into sales and stuff like that. So it's crucial to our business. So
when you're looking at business growth going forward, then do you focus on the sales or the lets or both together? How does that divide and labour get done?
I think both.
Yeah.
We can't take our eye off either of them.
No.
You know, it's very competitive on the sales side.
Yeah.
You know, with the lettings, as long as we do the job that we say we're going to do, you know, that will continue to grow.
And it's growing month by month.
Yeah, it's
still.
So investors looking into Perth, what would be the property that you would advise buying? What the property type, the property location, the area, and what's the demographics for the tenants like?
I had a chat with Murray, who heads up our lettings this morning, and I says, what's happening in the lettings? You know, he says, Alan, the 1-bedroom flats are popular at the moment. Right. He says, historically, you would have somebody who could afford a 2-bedroom property and would maybe have a spare room. But now, because the rents have shot up, they can't afford that 2-bedroom property. Yeah. So they're coming down to a 1-bedroom. He said, we've got a lack of 1-bedrooms. We've got a lack of all types of properties, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, I've never seen the market as low on rental proproperties across the board.
This week, how many have we got?
Well, I think there was 8 in Perth available for rent.
That's
I know more people advertise on Zoopla on the rental side because it's quite pricey. We're
finding that across the whole of the country though.
It's an absolute
stock's so down.
It's so down.
So your 1-bed flats, is this 1-bed city centres and like Scott Street and Prince Street stuff
just
like that?
Just round in general 1-bedrooms because but we're renting. I think we've only got about 7-8 properties for let.
What's your purchase price of a 1-bed flat? Like those type of flats?
Well, I've just done one up and I've done it up to a nice standard and I've got that on just now at 69,000.
Right.
And I thought it would go quicker, to be honest. It's been on now for maybe 3 weeks.
Right.
But I think the lift scheme as well as that
that's
just stopped at the moment.
So I think that's
hopefully it'll restart again soon.
So what's that? What's the price range? I mean, you'll be the higher end. That 70 grand mark. Do you get them for as low as 50, 40?
Yeah,
but they need money spent on them. Yeah. I would have thought, you could sell nice 1-bedrooms for 150 as well. Wow. You know, 100. But I would have thought, for an investor's point of view, there are probably a few you could pick up cheaper than that and do them up, and you'd get a good return even with the mortgage rates the way they are.
What type of rent are you getting for a 1-bed flat?
Well, it's gone up to about
500 and 600.
Yeah. Whereas before that would have been 400.
Yeah. I mean, the rents have really shot up.
What's the biggest jump you think you've seen in the rental rents around the Perth 1-beds?
The houses.
I think across the board they're all going up.
Yeah,
I mean, we're getting some phenomenal rents.
Yeah.
And we're shocked at some of the prices that go out and they get rented.
Have you got an idea of what the uplift's been in the last year or two in percentage and rent rises, or is it the same as what you're seeing across the board? And the papers, I suppose, a 30% increase.
Oh, definitely.
So I mean, Perth is following the same trend as what everyone else is.
I would, I mean, flats that we were renting out at 550. I mean, they could quite easily command 750. 800.
And they're getting it.
So, but the houses are, for me, they're very good for the rental side, because generally it's longer term.
Yeah. I was going to say,
families will just stay for long.
They're going to stay for long. They won't want to move the kids or whatever. Yeah. So,
and I think your 1-bed and 2-bed flats and sections are quite transient. You'll just get a shorter term, a year and a half tenancy.
Yeah. So if we were advising anyone, it would be to buy the houses. Yeah. But they obviously come at a price that shot up over the last 2 or 3 years. Yeah.
Is there certain areas in Perth that you'd buy houses in?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Like would be really like as an ex-local authority area, and are they the type
definitely. I think we've got our favourite spots where we would go and buy houses. Yeah. So
what would they be? 2 and 3 bed houses?
Yeah, 2 and 3 bedroom.
What kind of price range would they be in?
I think you're now 130 to up to 200.
Yeah. And rental income's going up?
Yeah, the rental incomes, I mean, for 2-bedroom house, 800, 900.
Yeah.
Whereas that would have been about 600.
Yeah.
Yeah, 600.
So I think we've got a problem.
Oh, yeah, aye.
I think we've got a problem. I don't know the budget coming up or what the government are going to do, but I think we've got, and I think it can only get worse.
Do you guys reckon that it's the Scottish government's interference that's amplified that or gave it a catalyst for the rent rises? Because I mean, Scotland's got the biggest rent rises in the UK still.
Yeah, and I think putting the cap on the
rent rises of 3%'s not helped.
Forced everyone to do it.
Yeah.
I think for years, quite a lot of our properties would put the rents up.
Yeah.
The tenants would stay, they would look after the property. And
everyone's happy.
Yeah, but I think what you'll see, well, if it was at the 3%, but if that continued, I think you see an annual increase of 3% on every property.
Yeah.
Whereas some landlords wouldn't put up rents. So I don't think it was thought through
no, it
particularly well.
It was the property that I mentioned to you earlier on in Gateside, the 5-bed house in there, it's only about 10, 15 minutes from Perth. I had that out at $850 for 7 years, never put up once. The minute you're then told that you can't put up, I'm wanting to force that to maximise because someone's taken that away from me. The last tenant that was in that before I sold it went up to £1,400.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like that's and like you say, there have been people that loads of landlords, loads of investors would have sat there and not put their rent up. They're happy with the tenant, happy with what they're paying, they're looking after the property, they're longer term. I'm not doing it. The minute that control's taken, minute you've interfered with that free market space, you're then going to say, well, fuck, I'm having to then run mine like a business and put it.
I know that quite a lot of the landlords are waiting for the 1st of April now, and they're going to get some of the tenants. Unfortunately, are going to get the increases.
How are you guys handling it as a business? Are you going to let your landlords or put them up to whatever they think? Or are you going to try and guide them a little bit to be at
I think there's a happy medium.
We've got to look after our landlords because, like all of us, we've all got property sitting at this table. The interest rates have gone up 14 times. Surely it can't all just be for the tenant.
Yeah.
We need some help as well for all the landlords out there. So
especially when they mentioned the jumps you guys are mentioning there as well, from £600 to £800 from all these jumps in rents. If you've got a historic tenant sitting in that, they're still paying $600. They're not going to want to move out to find somewhere at $850, $900.
They're going to stay there.
You're stuck there, and now, like you say, your costs have now went up accordingly.
Like we want to look after the tenants as well.
Yeah, I mean,
of course we do.
We've got a great relationship with a lot of our tenants,
and they've been with us for years upon years. And then also what we do is, unfortunately, if a landlord does say, well, I'm going to have to sell my house, they've been great tenants. We'll say, we'll try our best to help you find something else. Mm. And within the office, we'll say, look, come on, they've been in there for 8 years. We've never had much bother from them. Let's try and find them something else.
There's some of our properties won't hit the rental market because we're helping existing. And you know what? We were also helping people on the sales side because they were selling the houses that quickly. Mm-hmm. We were putting them in rental accommodation. They've been good clients to us, trusted us with their sale. So we were putting them in the rentals,
It's a difficult position to be in because it's the tenants that are going to suffer ultimately the worst. And the cost of living crisis is biting everyone. But
of course it is.
The guys at the lower end of the income in these 1-bed, 2-bed flats and houses they can't afford it, this is where it's going to really struggle. But again, it comes back down to the government. They're not building. They're not keeping up with the supply and demand. What you're saying, there were 8 or 9 properties in the whole of Perth for
that
rent.
That was the other day. There was maybe 11, but across the whole of Perthshire, I think there was under 30.
Yeah,
Perthshire's a big area.
It's a huge area,
and to be under 30 properties for the whole of Perthshire, I mean, it's quite shocking.
Yeah, it's a huge shortage.
Massive.
And it's only going to drive the price up.
Yeah, but I think there's a happy medium, and I think if you're representing a landlord, you have to, it's not all about squeezing.
It's about the tenant at the end of the day, isn't it?
But having that conversation, if they're mortgage free, do they need to go and ram their rent up by 30%? No,
I think you
find
have
the
to,
balance.
Yeah, if you're getting a good tenant that's going to look after the property, get on with the neighbours and pay their rent on time, and you're getting a fair. That's it. A fair rent.
A fair rent.
A fair market rent. Yeah. The thing is, the the tenant could be an absolute asset in the property as much as a liability, and I suppose having the right good letting agent to pick the right tenants.
I think you're spot on. It could be an absolute asset.
Yeah.
So
you got a problem tenant that unfortunately might know their rights. That can be a right problem.
That's a tricky situation.
but we try and work with everyone.
You guys ever been to a first tier tribunal when you're?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was in one just a couple of months ago. It was one of our longest standing tenants.
Process better than it was with the old court system?
I found this tenant was working with us.
Yeah.
You know, circumstances that led to what happened, but I was in it. But it's quite, I think the process of evicting someone is long, you know, because
especially if the landlord's in
especially for
difficulty.
the landlord, it is.
Well, we got granted the eviction, and then they still got another 6 months.
6 months, yeah.
You know, and I think they've maxed that out. In fact, they come out
This month now.
But it's been a long. It's been
on the 9th of January, first tenant eviction, Sheriff Court Officer.
Yeah,
and it was a long process.
And it's the last thing you want to go down.
Oh, definitely.
You know, we don't want to be doing that.
No.
How long did that take you then?
Almost 2 years.
Wow, 2 years.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, but you imagine if you were sitting there as a landlord that had one property or two properties, like that's you're feeling the pinch with that, you know.
Definitely. Were they paying you rent?
They were paying what the council were paying.
Yeah.
But I mean, £604, I think, was the LHA rate for a 3-bed house in Kirkcaldy. You know, it probably could be 850, 900 quid's the market rent. So yeah, well below market rent, but difficult situation. Getting something for it that was covering the cost. And again, because I knew I was going to exit and sell it, you're on the variable rate with the new mortgage rates climbing up every other flipping week as well. You're like, oh wow, this is not stacking up this one. But
I think also, I mean, Katie and I, we bought at the peak leading up to 2008. Then we went through the crash, and then the property prices pretty much stabilised up until COVID. You know,
and then
they were gradually going up.
Yeah.
And then they shot up, and it was just, I remember COVID coming, we were working.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah.
Because all the staff were furloughed.
Yeah.
Or most of the staff were furloughed.
Yeah.
So when that market opened up on June the 29th, it was
crazy times.
Mayhem.
Oh, it was mayhem, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was, and that continued for 2 and a bit years.
I suppose you'll be seeing it's nice to see a little bit of calm or a bit of normality.
It is a bit of normality now. And I think the Perth area as well, I think we are quite lucky because, you know, house prices are holding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, I think we're lucky that.
I think you read these headlines that they're crashing. I think that's locational.
Very locational, yeah.
Yeah, so it's maybe more down south.
Are you finding then on the sales market that maybe the steam's just out the market, that the stuff that people were paying mega over for a year or two ago is they're no longer there?
Yes, some properties are still achieving very good prices, but it's not the same as when we came out of COVID.
Yeah.
We don't have the same footfall. I mean, it was crazy how many viewings we had at some of our properties. I mean, gosh, one again in Bridge of Erin, we had how many viewers did we have?
About 38.
38 viewers.
We done the viewings that
We
day.
did them, and it was, we just got out of COVID, and it was only one family in at a time, and we had a queue down the path, and people sitting in their cars, and it was right. Alan did the garden one, and I did in the house, and then it would be the next one in, and it was.
But we had to limit it to every 15 minutes or because there was that much people wanted to see, and we didn't want to let anyone down.
Yeah. Everyone get a chance to see the property.
Everyone get a chance, and some people would say, "Well, that's not enough time. We're trying to help and get everyone in."
Yeah,
you know. But I remember sitting there for.
Oh gosh, hours. Hours and hours.
But you just had to do it.
That was the way the market was. So it's still fine, but not like that. But we're still achieving good prices.
We have to work, I think, no disrespect to any estate agent, but you could put pictures of property up. It didn't matter how the pictures were.
Yeah. And it was selling.
And it was selling. So now marketing's more crucial.
I find that this is going to be an interesting time for estate agents because it reminds me.
Oh, I think so.
Back 2008, 2009, 10 when nothing was selling, and it's like you could just get away with before that. And obviously the last few years, putting anything up on Rightmove, 40 viewers into the door, everything's selling. Does a estate agent really need to be a salesperson?
No, not really. No.
And it reminds me of 2007. The people would just open the door and there'd be a string of people there, and it was you had to act very fast. But
closing date, offers over the asking price. Here we go. But now, when this market quiets down, it'll be interesting to see who steps up as an estate agency in areas.
You have to think out the box. You have to do different things. You know, we have
a lot harder now because, as you say, everything was going to closing dates.
Now you've not got the footfall in.
No, we don't have that now. We've got to work a lot.
That crust.
Absolutely, work a lot harder.
I think the majority of people know that the market's changed. Yeah. You know,
it takes a bit of time for that to filter through, though, doesn't it? Like
it does.
When you get people, you know. Obviously, the boom. I managed to sell my own house as well, but the boom when people were paying over the asking in a market that, known that was still the general public stop, even though in the industry we knew it wasn't, and people still were paying a wee bit over the asking, and you tricked them into saying, people, loads of viewings, people are going to pay over the asking price and put that closing date quite quickly. But I knew I was doing that because of my market knowledge.
You knew.
But it takes. I think you're right now. I think it's now filtered out, and people now know that. That's like that's gone.
I think it took a wee while though for people to realise, because if we were going to a house where we'd sold one down the road, but you got so-and-so, for that one. So we're expecting that. But I think now people are beginning to realise that the market is a bit.
This is why I'm finding it's a bit stagnant right at the moment, because I'm finding that, and I don't know if you'll see it firsthand, but people going to list their property and going, but you've sold that one up the road there for 200, but it was only worth 170, 180. Somebody paid 30 grand over the asking. You're not going to get that. So now you're going to get the home report
value. If we can get you that.
It's like trying to get that it's trying to, I suppose, set that expectation, but I felt like everyone that says, but that one's sold for 200, so mine's going at 200 and no one's buying it. And almost a stale market everywhere where nothing was moving for a wee period there.
And also think we're on the front line, so we know what's happening with the market. So by the time it gets to the media, it's
like a year later, isn't it?
It's it filters down, but we see it. And we're good friends with a lot of estate agents in Perth, so we speak
keep an eye on what's
speak amongst ourselves.
Interesting to them, what's moving, what's not moving.
Well, just how you find things, So and
surveyors as well, obviously. Speak to them and
So the market's still moving in Perth.
Still moving in Perth.
Yeah, not as buoyant as it was, but things are still selling.
Yes.
What's the attraction with the city? Because it's a beautiful city, Perth. I loved the what's the main employers? Did you find a lot of people move from Edinburgh from COVID up into Perth, sir?
We had a lot of that, especially at the closing dates. I would say there was a lot of people from down south, a lot from Edinburgh.
Just want that bit more space, a bit more
work from home. You see, so they're selling their big house in Edinburgh and getting phenomenal
money for it,
numbers, and thinking, right, well, for what I've got in Edinburgh, for what I can get in Perthshire, they were getting houses with land,
with 3 acres,
with 3 acres or just whatever, and having a wing which was their office.
Well, you didn't need to be in the office 5 days a week. And I think that totally changed people's perspectives on it. So, and I think with regards to Perth, I mean, you're 45 minutes to Edinburgh, an hour to Glasgow. It's got good
Aberdeen. It's sort of
links.
A good,
That's that good location.
They reckon that you can hit 90% of Scotland in 90 minutes from Perth. So it's
that gateway, isn't it? I mean, I love when you go to Perth and obviously it just brings back happy memories. Just hitting the A9 and just getting in. As soon as you start going into Perthshire and up towards Dunkeld and Pillock, it just opens up into the most beautiful countryside.
Well, Dunkeld was a hot market.
So do you guys operate in those areas as well, going up?
Yeah, we do.
For the rentals and sales.
Right.
I mean, we rent down, we've got clients in North Berwick, we rent in Edinburgh, Glasgow, all the way up to Aberfeldy, Dundee. So a lot of our clients, existing clients,
that'll buy elsewhere,
they want to they get the service from us, they want to use
us as well.
Once you've got the right systems in place, you can plug in.
It's I mean, we've got a great team, and I think the business is only good as the team that you've got in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've got an absolutely great team, best team that we've had.
And what's the plans for the future? What it is looking to still grow, still continue? No exit plans?
We're trying to progress staff in the office, push them on.
Just so we've got other people that can go out on valuations as well. And we're bringing on more staff for the lettings team as well, because we're expanding that, and through a word of mouth, a lot of the extra landlords are coming in. So it's all, again, as we've said, about customer service. So yeah, we've got somebody new starting next week, which will keep the customer service levels up. And
then we're talking about maybe getting someone else, because I think the buying of the property that we've done up just now is taking a while, you know, but we enjoyed that aspect, buying it, we put an extension on, doing it up, you know, kitchens, bathrooms.
we like all that side. So we'd like to do more of that as well.
We'd like to do, and progress the staff.
Yeah, more for your own portfolio.
You know, I think we really enjoy doing it.
And I think we will buy others that we will do up and sell, like you've done.
Yeah.
Because the more you do, the more experience you get.
You know the marketplaces,
Of course you do. You know what colour of kitchen to put in, and you know what bathrooms to put in, what people like.
Going through Instagram constantly.
Easy to overspend though.
Oh, very easy to overspend.
Very easy to overspend.
Yeah.
So, but no, we want to progress the team, progress the staff.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's good for the staff, because we want to vary their jobs as much. You know, they could be out in viewings or go and do a valuation, or, you know, because we go in the office, we pick up the phones, we'll meet and greet people at the door. You know, we just get stuck in as and when we need to.
Yeah.
It's not as if we're very much part of the team, albeit in the...
Yeah. So you guys have heard it here first, and if you're needing your properties rented, sold in Perth, you're the go-to guys.
We are.
Where can people reach out to you guys if they're looking to get in touch or inquire more about the Perth market?
I think look at our website, Premier Properties Perth, and our properties there on all the main portals. Nice. Rightmove, Zoopla on the market. We've got nice offices, as we said, in Perth, but just give us a ring. Meet for a coffee, and we'd be delighted to help landlords, people selling. And
we always like to help and give back. You know, it's giving back the knowledge.
Yeah, aye.
Yeah.
Stuff that we spoke about earlier, that's the stuff that you didn't have when we all started out in property. There's no one there helping you, guiding you.
You don't want to see anyone make a mistake.
Yeah.
You know, and buy the wrong thing. And I think timing is crucial in what you buy and where you buy it. Yeah. You know, and interest rates were held again today, so.
Thanks for that good news, Alan. Appreciate that. I'm in the dark in here. So brilliant. So we'll link your website in the show notes as well and put this out. So
thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's such a pleasure having us.
It was great. Thank you for having us.